Greetings and welcome. You're tuned into TMH's Daily English News. For our headlines today, the U.S. Senate has vowed to hold despots using hunger as a weapon of war accountable. The Tigrayan diaspora demands Italy to stop supporting this ongoing genocidal war on Tigray, and researchers say that Tigrayan farmers are in need of urgent help to face a war-induced famine. As we move on to our main updates, U.S. senators say that the U.S. can no longer stand by as despots from Russia all the way to Ethiopia continue to exploit hunger to advance wartime goals. The U.S. Senate has unanimously passed a bipartisan resolution condemning the use of starvation and hunger as weapons of war. Jim Risch, who's ranking member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Jeff Merkley, Todd Young, and Cory Booker, John Thune, and Bob Menendez made the announcement of the resolution yesterday. Jim Risch, from Russia's war in Ukraine, he said to Ethiopia, South Sudan, and Yemen, bad actors are deliberately destroying agricultural goods, infrastructures, while manipulating markets, blocking access for humanitarian aid, and ultimately starving innocent civilians to death in a callous attempt to advance political or military objective. He also added that this is appalling practice can no longer stand, and he said the resolution should send a clear message to Putin himself and others that the United States will use every tool at their disposal to ensure that food assistance is not being manipulated and that those who use hunger as a weapon will be held accountable as well. Merkley added on to this, saying, from Ukraine to Syria to Ethiopia, we have and continue to watch this horror as bad actors destroy agriculture, deny humanitarian access, disrupt markets for crucial commodities in a twisted effort to achieve their own geopolitical aims through starvation means. Senator Young, on his part, stated that it is time for the United States to hold those who use food as a weapon of war accountable for their horrific actions. At that, Senator Booker also added, with conflicts around the world, such as Russia's unjustified invasion of Ukraine, violence in the Horn of Africa, and the continued unrest in Afghanistan and Yemen, millions of people are currently at risk of hunger as well as starvation. As this resolution lays out, the United States has a moral responsibility to extend urgent humanitarian assistance to all of the vulnerable populations globally, bolster the global food supply chain, and hold individuals and governments accountable once they perpetrate these atrocities. Menendez said that the U.S. Senate spoke with one voice. We cannot stand by as despots from Russia to Ethiopia continue to exploit hunger only to advance wartime goals, as Menendez underlined. The resolution is also co-sponsored by many other senators that were at the meeting as well. As we move on to our next update, Ambassador Hammer has finally began his first week as special envoy to the Horn of Africa, and his first assignment was meeting with the Ethiopian diaspora. The Bureau of African Affairs reported that the new special envoy held an online meeting with some members of the Ethiopian diaspora community. The Bureau said the special envoy is encouraged by the shared commitment of all of the Ethiopians who took part in this meeting to find durable solutions in the best interests of all Ethiopians included. The Bureau did not give any more details of the discussions or what was held during the discussions, or even how the participants were selected amongst the meeting either. Parents of World Athletics champion Annabeth Gede are unable to speak with their daughter due to the ongoing communication blockout that's been imposed by the Ethiopian government within the Tigray region. Annabeth Gede, who won gold in 10,000 meters in the World Athletics Championships on Saturday in Oregon, and now who's eyeing to win the 5,000 meters, couldn't reach her family as they are still besieged within the Tigray region. She on Saturday won the gold medal in 10,000 meters at the World Athletics Championship in Oregon, beating the Kenyan twins and Sifan Hassan of the Netherlands. Annabeth is also a world record holder, winning the honor in Hengelo, Netherlands in the year of 2021. While Annabeth continues to win medals and astonish the world with her talents, her family is in southern eastern Tigray, who still remain disconnected from the world, while little knowledge of wonders of Annabeth's achievements actually get to them. Tigrai TV traveled to Samara in southeastern district of Tigray, just 60 kilometers from the capital, to speak to her parents. Her father says that he learned of her win at the World Athletics Championship a day later when, by mere coincidence, when he had made a trip to the Tigray's capital on Sunday. Let's take a listen.
When you had cell service in Tigray, we used to be able to get quick access on her wins. But now, I only found her victory because I traveled to Mekelle on Sunday.
Her parents said that they haven't seen or heard from her in the last 2 years. Her mom, about her daughter's spectacular win from her relatives, she heard from her own relatives as well.
I heard on Sunday afternoon when a relative came and told me Letasambet had won the World Championship. I asked where, and he said it was far away, in America. He congratulated me and told me he was happy. It was around 10 p.m. and I asked him how he was able to reach her with there being no electricity or phone services, and he told me he had heard on the radio. It's been 2 years since we last met. We miss her, but we can't see her. We're in serious trouble. There's no electricity, banks are closed, and there's no transportation because of the siege. We don't have phone services.
We are worried about upcoming harvest, how much we could produce without fertilizers. But we are not the only ones facing this problem. Every farmer is suffering like this.
Parents like all Tigrayans are suffering from the severe impacts of the siege that discontinued banking, telecommunications, and other services, and the world champion cannot send money to her parents as she's used to doing before the siege took place 2 years ago. The parents say despite the difficulties they're facing, they hope to see their daughter soon and ask the TV crew to pass their message to her. Let's take a listen.
We're in serious trouble. There's no electricity, banks are closed, and there's no transportation because of the siege. We don't have phone services.
We are worried about upcoming harvest, how much we could produce without fertilizers. But we are not the only ones facing this problem. Every farmer is suffering like this. The sun will rise. Keep on working hard until we meet again.
My daughter, may God help us meet again. This too shall pass.
The deliberate blockade of Tigray by the Ethiopian government and its allies still have no humanitarian access into the region of Tigray. Phone communications are still down. Electricity and banking are currently still down in the Tigray region as well. The Tigrayan diaspora in Europe demand that Italian government stop supporting the genocidal war on the Tigray peoples and the region. Tigray is residing in Italy, Germany, France, the Netherlands, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Belgium, and various other countries of Europe held a demonstration in front of the Italian embassies within their own regions and consulates in those cities. Let's watch.
Italia, 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 cancella, cancella, la legge, Italia, Italia, cancella, cancella, la legge, stop, 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 al genocidio, stop, 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 al genocidio,
As you just saw, the Tigrayan diaspora amongst the Europe, as well as in the US and in Israel, also held similar demonstrations in support of the cause. Participants of the demonstrations were merely asking the entire Italian government to stop supporting the Ethiopian government financially, diplomatically, but most importantly, militarily. Our final update for today, researchers say the Tigrayan farmers need urgent help to face a war-induced famine. Tekla Haimanot Walda Michael Melai Makonnen from the Norwegian University of Science and Technology, Leila Mehta of Norwegian University of Life Science, and Mulgeta Gabraxabier from the Medical University of South Carolina yesterday published an article combined together highlighting the urgent need of Tigrayan farmers. And according to these researchers, the focus of support so far to Tigray region has been on getting life-saving humanitarian assistance into the region of Tigray, which in reality still remains only a trickle going in. However, given the collapse of the food system, they stressed that there's a desperate need to move beyond providing humanitarian assistance. They suggested donors such as the World Bank, IMF, USAID, and global consortiums should urgently help deliver agricultural inputs and supplies such as seeds and fertilizers, as that is crucial in implementing the ongoing change. Urgently providing much-needed seed and simple-to-use tools that can also help to replace the use of livestock decimated and looted during the war for tilling as well. They also urged donors to restore and equip agricultural research, facilities, farmers, training, and institutions, and the infrastructure in the region to facilitate local production of seeds as well. They talked about the need to revitalize the agricultural extension system to provide expert support for their farmers, and the researchers called on the international institutions to put pressure on the Ethiopian government to resume essential social services such as banking, electricity, telecommunications, and facilitate the recovery of agricultural sector beyond that as well. They did note that as it is currently the cropping season in Tigray, time is now of essence. Farmers constitute about 3/4 of the region's population, yet are facing a second cultivational season without access to vital and agricultural inputs and implements. They caution that without an urgent action, there will be a complete collapse in farming, and worsening of ongoing famine and end the lives of millions of people will be at greater risk as well. That concludes our news for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back next week with some more.